The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy game. And the tackle going to be made right there at the 25-yard line. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And, Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as a coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
A running play there, going to get 10 and a quick first down. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
So that run play nullified by the holding call on the tight end.
Yeah, I just think he needs to get off the ball a lot quicker and get into the block a little bit more effectively. Then he doesn't have to reach and grab and try and hold on.
Play action. It's Favre. And that is caught on the right sideline, but out of bounds, says the line judge. The throw took him a little too far at second down. So they'll come up after the incompletion for second down. Throwing is Favre. All right, rifles one, and that's going to be intercepted. And he is going to score. It's a pick six and an AFC touchdown. So a big defensive play there on the opening drive, no less, as they make the interception and bring it back for the score.
And I think that's a signal for how this defense wants to play. They want to be disruptive, and you know they're going to take some chances.
Well, sometimes it can burn you, but right there, it paid off. So they throw the pick six. They'll get another shot at it now as this one's in the air. Fielded right around the 8. And he'll get it up just past the 20 as these guys will go to work at the 21-yard line. You see the AFC defense heading back out there. They start on the ground here at Sanders. And he is going to lose yardage here. They'll lose a yard there, and it's second and 11. Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Doc Coryell.
And he's going to get this one across the 30-yard line. Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon,
he rifles one that's intercepted. Picked off by Stephon Gilmore. And they will set up shop in enemy territory at the 42-yard line. And not the first quarter that he was hoping for. Now 2 interceptions thrown.
Well, the good ones, they find a way to compartmentalize, right? Put these behind them, have that short memory, but understand why they threw the 2 interceptions. They go on and usually play a pretty decent game. Other quarterbacks, they have a hard time getting past it and often put the ball up for grabs the rest of the ball game.
One quarter in the books at the Coliseum. What a day. It's the AFC Stars with the early lead. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA. They run the draw play. Allen. And he's going to be taken down here with a penalty flag on the field. An unfortunate time for the penalty there. That cancels out a positive play from this offense.
Well, not to sound too trite or too accepting, but you and I both know it happens. You got to accept it and move on. Yardage, you got to get back. Focus on the next play and move on.
The throw on second down by Brady is incomplete. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
I mean, you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. defensive side of the ball, the Mad Stork himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses came in high-stakes games because they always had such great success. Think about it this way. 6 times in his 10 years, the Raiders were knocked out in either the AFL championship game or the AFC championship game. But might be a divisional round exit. That's the one that bothered him most of all. Three River Stadium, December 1972. Yes, the Immaculate Reception game. Franco Harris grabbing the ball that was deflected. Almost at his shoe tops, he picked it up and took it in for a game-winning score to give the Steelers a 13-7 victory. And partner, anyone who loves black and silver still doesn't believe that ball hit anyone in black and silver that day, and that play should never have counted.
The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim him, strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Blitnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it. The grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders have their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
He's going to let it go again. He's got a man complete. And he'll be marked down right at the 20-yard line. For an offense that has not found the end zone yet, that's a big play.
There's the spark right there. The big play that they needed. Now they've got to go ahead and finish this drive and put this ball in the end zone.
Inside the red zone here, they'll look to throw. Oh, hit as he throws there, incomplete.
But there's an incompletion, partner, and the struggles through the air continue because so far their lack of passing production has led to a lack of points.
After the incompletion, here's 2nd and 10 from the 20. Operating out of the gun, here's Montana. And this time he's got the hook up. It's complete. And he gets it inside the 10 to the 9. It's a good gain of 11, sets him up 1st and goal.
And that's a more than acceptable read right there because it's zone coverage, so timing is everything. This time he waits for his man to come open, puts it right on him, and they pick up a 1st down.
A chance now to get even before the break as they come up 1st and goal. Inside give to Dickerson. A nice display of power, but it only takes him to the 7. He's dropped there. Give him 2 yards on that one. 2nd and goal now. Coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley. Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. The second half forthcoming from Oakland. They begin the drive on the ground with Allen. And he'll take this ahead for about 4. Second down coming up. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42. He just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
Play action. Now it's Brady. Open man is Andre Reed, complete. And they're going to get this to about the 44-yard line. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on to call 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the old Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitchman. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told them, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden, the video game, continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. Back now here on EA Sports. It's the AFC with the lead and the football as we begin the 4th quarter. Ball sits on the 10, 2nd and 5. Inside handoff here to Ricard. And he's brought down. 9 yards on the play there, and it'll set him up 1st and goal. This is where, 4th quarter, you got the lead, you give it to the big guy. Defensively kind of sucks the will out of them, doesn't it? Because they don't want to tackle him right now this late in the game.
Well, you say that with accusatory tones. I mean, but you're exactly right. I know it's not something we actually want to talk about, but as a defender, 4 quarters worth of trying to bring people down, 4 quarters worth of pounding, and now late in the game, here comes that big guy coming at you, and a lot of guys are wondering whether they want to come up and make that tackle at this stage of the game. This is where coaches have to spend a lot of time going over situations with their players, because him getting tackled there is not the worst thing in the world. You're going to run more plays, right? Clock's going to go. But his thought process is getting into the end zone. It's counterintuitive for him.
And he is into the end zone for an AFC touchdown. Marcus Allen A 3-yard touchdown run. And the AFC is in for 6. Vinatieri able to tack on the PAT. And that'll make the score 14-0. There's Vinatieri now to kick it away after the touchdown. And Hester content to hold on to this one and bring it out to the 25. Now the NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
He's got a man complete. And they'll get this well past midfield before being stopped just before the 35. So how about that for a chain mover? They're all the way down inside the 40 now for 1st and 10. Play fake. Now here's Montana. And seeing no options, he just tosses this one away incomplete. Now that'll bring up 2nd down.
So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the second time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all."
Going to give it up the middle. Here's Dickerson. And he will be marked down short of the 1st as they get to him at the 29. It's a gain of 5 on the play, and it'll bring up a 4th down. They'll try and run for it and try to push his way forward, but I think he's going to be short, and he is short. They had to go for it with such little time remaining, and as a result, possession switches hands. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Now they are really in the driver's seat here, enjoying this lead late in the 4th quarter. The defense does have all 3 timeouts, but at this point, doesn't look like it's going to matter much. Have to imagine this will be on the ground as well as they come up 2nd and 7. The give to the fullback on the dive. And not much of an opening there as he's only going to get this to about the 32.
Well, this has certainly been special. And, Charles, as we wind down toward the end of this John Madden legacy game, your final thoughts?
Well, let's face it, partner, it's going to be hard to overestimate the impact that he made, not just on the sport of football, but on his family, friends, players, co-workers, and in the lives of millions of Americans who watched him. There will never be another John Madden.
Now Allen, and he will not get there as they stop him short right around the 34-yard line. Just a gain of 2 there, and it's going to bring up a 4th down.
So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message, and for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
Nasty, baby, nasty. We gotta get this stop here. All right, let's go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 debut. You could put yourself back on the game's biggest stage and raise that Lombardi in Super Bowl 56. Become Coach One. Feeling a little rusty on them sticks? Hit the practice field to get some work in before you start a game. Head on over to the main menu and see the full array of options you've got to work with at Madden NFL 23.
Cubone staying with the lift. Really became a boss many years back when I'm gone. Can be pull your tears back. We put the bang and produce. You got no chance of hanging. They take the tails when you're flipping the quarter. We ain't slowing down, we crashing through the border.